Guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. When I say we were wrong and that body count doesn't matter, I'm only talking about some of us because some of you were right. You know, when we talk about finding a woman that's got a low or no body count, and that tends to make relationships last longer, I've said many times, because like Undead Chronic and some of you guys out there say the same thing. Hey, no hymen, no diamond, forget it. If she's had anybody, just move on. And in reality, that is, exceptionally tough today. I mean, you're basically at that point, you are looking for a unicorn. But I've said, hey, you know what? If you're a guy like myself and you're 50, and even if you meet somebody that's maybe in their 20s, that finds your old man self kind of attractive and wants to date you, the odds of them having a 0 body count is virtually nil. But to find somebody that's maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a whole lot easier, because everybody's apt to make a mistake or two. I'm going to read you a quick little story and wander you down a road, and then we're going to talk about some statistics. This is the woman on the thumbnail here, and this story here. It started all off. Let me bring up my Twitter account. This was an interesting debate that was brought up by, ironically, women. And I kind of dove into this a little bit and found an interesting story, and then I grabbed some stats like I always do. A woman said the feminist turned housewife says, I literally grew up believing that being pure, in other words, not having been with a man, was something to be embarrassed about. It was something that you didn't want to admit being. You were, all the cool girls, or all the cool it girls were the ones that were sleeping around and were experienced. You were shamed for being inexperienced and labeled a prude if you didn't hurry up and just lose your purity. I never once was told it was something special, that I should hold on to it, that it was important and good. I was ashamed to be pure for as long as I was. This is what I mean when I say Christians who grew up Christian in Christian circles have no idea the extent of depravity that plagues those in secular homes and circles. What Christians think, and know is good, the world thinks the exact opposite. The frame we have on the same issues are the exact opposites. It isn't just in regards to purity. It applies to almost everything. And this has had a million views and quite a few responses. It's been shared around quite a bit. And what she's saying is true, that if you're a good girl and you hold on to your values, it's ironically the bad girls that are telling these women that they're sad and they're losers and they should, sleep around and have the fun. I don't know if they're doing that out of guilt for themselves or out of thinking that it's bad to save yourself for a man, because if they see men as having no value, why would you save yourself for one particular one when you could go around and sleep with all of them? Well, the response to this was from a Binks, and she says, being pure is embarrassing when you're well into adulthood. Adults who are still pure for either male or female just shows you aren't really capable of attracting mates, and or you don't have the appropriate psychological function to have normal, stable adult relationships. Now, what I found interesting about this is she says either men or women that are still pure as the driven snow, when they become adults, are kind of losers. But that really only pertains to the men. And I'm sorry, you guys out there that don't have any experience with women. I'm not saying this to embarrass you. I'm saying women look at it like, if you're the guy that's going out there and crushing it with the women and all the women want to be with you, well, more women want to be with you. If you're a woman that's out there and you're crushing it with all the men and all the men have been with you or want to be with you, you're not desirable by men. And she doesn't understand this. So she, of course, thinks, well, if you've saved yourself the older you get, then you're not normal. You're not normal if you get to adulthood. Well, she got ratioed into the dirt. And this X, or excuse me, K, and this has been viewed 5.5 million times and has 100,000 likes on it. She says, here's your reminder that Adriana Lima didn't have sex until she was 27. I promise you a lack of ability to attract has nothing to do with it. And they show the supermodel here. Well, the supermodel's who I have the story about today. Let me close these other windows and we'll get there. So I found this story, and it turns out that this is back in 2006. So we're going back in time a little bit. And they say, well, she has saved herself. And I'm going to read you the answers during an interview, because if you listen to how she responds, her English is slightly broken, because I think she's from Brazil. And he says, have you been in love a lot? She says, I'm in love now. Were you ever in love before? And she says, no, I believe love just happens once. Now, remember, guys, there's a reason why I'm reading this stuff. Listen to what she says and then watch what she does, right? That's what we always talk about. She says, no, I believe love just happens once. You can be mistaken. You can think you're in love, but after a while, you discover that you're really not. Real love is different. And the interviewer says, are you a one-guy woman? She says, of course, I'm Catholic. And she says, well, you know, sex is just after marriage. And he says, say what? And she says, it's for after marriage. He's saying, you're not going to sleep with anybody before marriage. And she says, exactly. And he says, you mean you've never had sex? And she says, that's what I have to say. He said, you're sure about this? She's like, yes. How do men respond to the fact that you plan to, wait? She says, I don't care. They have to respect that as my choice. If there's no respect, that means they don't want me. Now, that does sound like a response from a woman that's waiting. Who was your first boyfriend? She says, I have just 3 boyfriends in my life. And he says, get out of here. And she said, and this was the 3rd one now. He said, did you ever have your heart broken? By my 2 exes, yes. When you're out and about at the club or restaurant or an event, how do guys approach? She says, don't approach me. And he said, they don't approach you? And she says, no, I say, do not. And so basically going down through here, she's just like, look, I'm not into this. This is not my deal. I'm being very careful. I'm being smart about it. And she's 27 and she's a supermodel for Victoria's Secret's how she got started. Well, she gets married, and then guess what? That's right, she got divorced. Now, her count as of her wedding date was 0. And this is why I say, in many cases, body count doesn't count for anything, because even if you find somebody that is pure as the driven snow, it guarantees you nothing. The odds are much better, but it guarantees you nothing. So she gets married to this guy, Marco Jerris. I'm not sure how you pronounce the C in this case. They were together. They had kids immediately after they were married, so she may not believe in using any protection. And instantly, they got kids on the way, and they have 2 kids, and then they divorce after 5 years. That's it. And she's jet setting all around the world, still doing photo shoots and taking her kids everywhere. And her Instagram photos, of course, she has 14.5 million followers. It's her living a glitzy, famous, interesting life, and he's much more grounded. And so it doesn't work out. So what happens? Because remember, she said, you only fall in love once, right? It only happens once. Well, now Adriana Lima welcomes first baby with boyfriend Andre Lemmers. So now, and this is from 2022, so this is just a year ago. So we go from 2006, I'm waiting, I'm saving myself, it's only going to be for my husband, you only fall in love once, to they get a divorce after 5 years. She still wants to jet set. Her Instagram's photos of just herself and sometimes the kids, but it's her traveling and doing all the, boss girl stuff. And then she's got a boyfriend. And now she's having a kid with him. So now she's having a kid, and she's going to be a mother of 3 out of wedlock. And now she's 41 years old. And now she's doing it with a boyfriend. So where's all the value? That didn't matter, did it? And so what are the statistics? This is where I want to say that Undead Chronic and probably other Manosphere guys, when they say no hymen and no diamond, they're pretty much right. They're pretty much right. And this is why I say that body count doesn't matter. Because if it's more than 1, it's irrelevant. 3, 5, 10, 20, it doesn't seem to matter. Once it's above 1, your odds of getting a divorce are about the same, which are awful. I have this graph, and I have two graphs from two different studies. This is from IFS, which is Institute for Family Studies. And this came out, I don't know, they really don't have many dates on this, so it's kind of hard to tell when they say right here. And our new analysis of National Survey of Family Growth from 2006 to 2010. Number of partners in a lifetime, one. If you've only had one, which would be your husband, and then the number of partners and divorce. So if you've had one, and this percent of first marriages ending in divorce. So you've had one partner, it's 4. If you've had 2 to 3, it's 28. 4 to 6, 41. 7 plus 50. Now, obviously, you say, dude, that is a pretty big difference. But above 1, you're basically, 28%, you're knocking on 30%. That's about 1 in 3. Here's 4 out of 10. Here's 50-50. None of those are good. Let's face it. 4%, 4 out of 100. That's really good odds for 1. Down here, they say number of partners and divorce for Americans with a 4-year college degree. Number of opposite partners in life, 1, 3%. 2 to 3, 14, 4 to 6, 17, and 7 plus is 27%. But now again, we're going back to what is it, 2006 to 2010. We're going back, almost 15 years ago, almost 20 in the beginning of this study. How much has changed in the last 20 years? A ton. Feminism got turned up to 13. The women can do no wrong and women join in the only fools and all these other things. These numbers are not anywhere near accurate anymore. But the women that still maintain 1 is a huge difference between all the other women. I brought up this other study, and this is a story here from the Daily Mail, and this is from University of Utah's a study. So this is a 5-year divorce rate, and this started, I think, from 2000. But this particular study, this comes from the Institute of Family Studies, and this is from 2002 to 2013. So it's a little bit broader study, but again, same kind of data set. In the 1980s, the 1990s, or the 2000s, represented by these 3 colored lines, 0 partners is between 5 and 10%. Now, it's actually a little bit higher in the 80s, and as you come down to the 2000s, it's really close to 5 or 5%. But you're still under 10%, and most recently down near 5%. And then you can see once it goes up to 1 partner, you're between 15 and 20. And actually, we use the yellow line here. They don't have any nors. You jump up to 2 partners is 30%, and then it just kind of goes on from there. Once you're at 2 partners, so once you're from 0 to 1, it doubles. From 1 to 2, it doubles again. So if you're with somebody that's had 1 to 2 partners, you're looking at a 30% divorce rate. And we know the national average for first time is like around 40 something. You're almost there. So what's that mean? When we say, the body count doesn't matter, it doesn't once you're above like 1. Then if it's 2, 3, 4, 5, it doesn't really matter. But what does matter is all of them are equally bad news for men. It's kind of like, it doesn't matter if she has 2 or 3 partners or a bunch. So if she said, I've had 3 or 4 boyfriends, and she says her body count is 3 when it's really 20, and she's lying and she's saying it's 3, it doesn't matter. 3 is too high. 3 is too high if you want to get married and have any more success than somebody that really has 20. So it doesn't matter unless she says 0 or 1. And even the 1 is now at a 1 in 5 chance, 20%. I don't know about you. You lay 5 M&Ms in front of me and say, if you eat one of the 4 of these, you'll be happy the rest of your life and have success and be happy and have kids and a family, but you eat the wrong one and you're going to kick the bucket. I don't know too many guys that are like 1 in 5. That's not very good. Now, 4 out of 100, I know many of you will say that's still too high. But, for 4 out of 100, there's a lot of people that said, and I only have to eat 1. All right, I've got a 4 out of 100 chance. The odds are in my favor. That's a 96% chance I'll be fine. But once you get up to 1 partner, it's 80% chance you'll be fine. 2 partners, 70% chance it'll be fine. And then if she's had a kid on top of that, and maybe she's been previously married, now you're 50-50. Now you're a coin toss. I found this to be very interesting. And also, I will give credit to Undead Chronic and some of these guys out there that are saying, hey, no hymen, no diamond. They have a point. For me, I always looked at it as like, guys, you're being a little aggressive out there. Like, you know, at a certain point, you have to kind of be realistic. But they are being realistic. What they're saying is the odds are bad. Even at 1 and 2 partners, you're starting to get in very, like, dangerous territory. It's as dangerous as if they have 10 plus partners. You can see here. You know, 10 plus looks like to be around 33%. 2 seems to be around 30. Now, yeah, there's some fall off based on this data, but it's still over 25%. They're not wrong. So what's that mean? What does it mean if you're an older guy that's maybe met somebody that you really care for and you really like and they're awesome, but they've got, you know, 3 or 4 boyfriends in the past? Okay, well, no diamond. Don't marry him. And this also goes back to when, you know, Ben Shapiro and Michael Knowles and these guys over at Daily Wire say, you know, the odds are in your favor. Like, just pick the right woman. Well, the right women that they're talking to and marrying are very religious and they are pure. They have never been with somebody else. So in that case, they're actually correct too in saying, like Ben Shapiro, statistically, since he and his wife had 0 partners before they married, they're both very highly college educated, their chance of divorce is 2 or 3%. So Ben is right when he says, hey, you know what? If you do it the right way. Ironically, again, you know, Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles, they're right too, because they married women that had 0 partners. But what are the odds most men are going to find women with 0 partners, especially when women are tossing them aside? Women are just using men for fun. You have to, I mean, it feels like today you've got to roll out and find an Amish, like join an Amish group or a Mennonite group, give away all your electronics and refrigerators and live like it's 1870 again. That seems to be the only way guys are going to, because I'll tell you, you go through college today, unless you're, you know, finding a very socially awkward, unattractive woman, I think all of them are quickly moving up to double digits. So maybe there is some middle ground here. Maybe Ben Shapiro's and Matt Walsh's are right, but you got to have a body count of 0, because once it goes up to 1 or 2, that body count doesn't matter anymore. It's crap across the board. I thought you guys would find this interesting. I learned something a little bit. You know, I always assumed the lower the partner count, the better. But looking at some, and maybe it's changed. I've seen some other studies where it does ramp up the more partners, but it's like going from, you know, 25 to 35 to 40%. I mean, none of that's good. But it really seems that the only number that matters is 0. And once you get above that, you know, you're starting to risk yourself. So maybe the conservatives had it right in some ways, and I think Undead Chronic, who says no hymen, no diamond, 0, he has it right, and maybe we're also right when we say, hey, you know what? Body count does matter, but after 1 or 2, it doesn't really matter anymore. It's all horrible news for you. So, you know, you can. It's not to say that you can't catch an STD and you can't get in trouble in other ways and all that stuff. There's a lot of other things that can go wrong. But if you're looking to date someone long-term and actually have a healthy long-term relationship, it seems 0 and 1, but 0 is really the number that matters. Beyond that, the number doesn't matter. Body count doesn't really matter as long as it's above 0. Guys, if you enjoy this work, don't forget I've got a summer promo I've got going on over at betterbachelor.locals.com. I do content that is unique over there. It's $3.30 a month if you sign up for the yearly program. You get unique content. There's a ton of guys over there that are very like-minded. We have really good conversations. We share news. But if you're looking to find a like-minded group of guys, come on over, join us today. I'd appreciate your support. And it really pisses the feminists off, which is always a good thing. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. We'll see you in the next one.